Psychic Intel Part 2. Who knew that we were having a revolution for Christmas? What? Listen, you guys have been hearing me say all along that we've got the microcosm and the macrocosm happening. Left and right, front and center. This is what this time period is for. But here's a new layer of information. Because what we're seeing now, erupting all over, just these 5 days of December alone, like Aaron Parnas is really working. He's really working overtime, bringing us our intel. But we're seeing some crazy things happening across the globe. And we're all getting whiplash, trying to pay attention. What now? What else is going to happen? And I've been talking about how these experiences are helping to heal us. They're very triggering. They can cause a lot of fear and anxiety. And so that's bringing up our inner trauma, our karma, to help us clear it. But here's another layer. It's not just clearing old karma by witnessing the pain. This phrase keeps coming to me, and it's from, what's that show? Hunger Games. I volunteer as tribute. So we're having these experiences. We've got an assassination. It's a very let them eat cake, no? Very French Revolution. We've had overt Yahtzee party, little mustache man vibes. We have an election being overturned in another government around the world. We had martial law declared. Shit is going down. So the difference is with these is that all of these experiences, again, are a microcosm of the macrocosm of what has happened on the world stage throughout human history. And if you've attended any of my circles by now, you know that what we're doing in this path of our ascension is to clean up our old karma, to finish out our unfinished experiences, which is really all karma is. It's unfinished business. It's processes that we haven't fully cleared and transmuted. And undeniably, World War II is a great example of all that, because talk about massive trauma on a worldwide scale, and many people had many different kinds of traumas they experienced in those lifetimes. And so how do we get in there and really clear all that karma from our human DNA, from our human blueprint, from our basically just like cookbook of human experiences? How do we clear that out so we can create a new recipe? We have to transmute the trauma. And you've heard me say the best way to do that is to be triggered, to have the energy brought to the surface so we can clean it out. So if the world were to devolve into total chaos and total revolution and just no one is safe, nothing is going right, then we wouldn't be succeeding in clearing old trauma. We would be creating new trauma. And so what I can see very clearly as I look out on all these things happening, these are token experiences. They're archetypal. I volunteer as tribute. I'm going to go through this little crazy experience here so the whole world can see it, can get whatever energy they need from it to see that experience being completed, or to come into a new understanding, a new perspective of that experience. So basically, to summarize all that up, we're having micro revolutions so that we don't have to go through total revolution and total chaos. These small experiences will give us everything we need to clear it out and complete the cycle so we don't have to devolve further. Now, there's another layer to this that kind of gave me unexpected insight into what's going on here. So I was talking with Vanessa at Spirit Guide Connection. You've heard me talk about her. And we were talking about all these crazy things happening. And she was like, who knew that TikTok had such a dark sense of humor? As we're processing and making jokes about these horrible things that are happening around the world. And as I was responding to her, I suddenly got this lightning bolt of insight. And it was like, oh, that is evolution. That is us moving on and experiencing these things in a different way from a higher octave. And I'm not saying it's in good taste to slander a dead man. I'm not saying this. But what I'm saying is, in the past, earlier in our human history, when we were less evolved, we were much more primal and reactive. And it was very much that like reptilian brain of like, kill with rock. Like we were less evolved than we are now. And so we've moved out of that primal survival physicality state, and we are intellectualizing our experiences, and we're having discourse about our experiences. And not only that, I tend to think that a sense of humor, especially a wicked sense of humor, is a sign of intelligence. So as we are now unpacking these crazy experiences, being able to have public discourse and a dark sense of humor about it is actually us moving up in evolution. That is ascending out of the reactionary physicality. We're not going to all go out and kill CEOs. We're going to talk about it in a different way. Rather than sharpening our guillotines, we're leaving maybe tasteless comments. Now listen, just to be abundantly clear, I am not advocating for any violence. I'm not cheering it on. I'm not gleeful about any of this. But when I zoom back and I look at the patterns, I see the purpose of all this. And it's fitting in with everything Spirit has told me and everything I know about Ascension. We are evolving. We are closing out experiences, and we are doing that one tribute experience at a time. So as you're viewing all these world events unfolding, take a beat, take a step back, and see if you can feel into this overall pattern of ascension, of clearing out old business, of releasing some of your own trauma. You might not have any conscious awareness of the past lives that you lived that now need clearing. So you might not understand why you're triggered by certain things, or happy about certain things, or afraid of other things. Trust that there is a higher spiritual process in this, and that things unfolding are just to be witnessed and processed emotionally. We're not all going to devolve. We're not all going to jump into chaos. We're not all going to be thrown into those situations. But we are seeing it unfolding as much as it needs to in these small little pockets, so that we can clear out our experiences and be ready to ascend and move on.